Well, guys, with 2015 very slowly coming to a close, and with most of my shows ending, and have some of them have ended this week, I figured now would be a very good time for me to make my top 10 TV shows of 2015. Now, let me explain something to you guys. I mean, look, last year's was hard. It was definitely hard to do that, but I feel like this year I had so much more struggle with it because let's face it, this was an amazing year for TV. There were so many great shows that came out this year, and there were so many possible contenders that I could have had that it was very hard for me to actually make this list. For a while, I was wondering, should I just do a top 20? But then I said, oh, no, 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 I'll be here all day if I do that. So I figured I'd narrow it down to 20 to 10, and I did narrow it down to 10. But I have to say, guys, this was very, very hard to do. Things kept getting switched around, things kept getting changed. I kept forgetting things. I'm like, oh, how can I forget that? Literally, when I had this list done, I realized, oh, I forgot that I got to quickly put that in there, and I did that. And let me just get into this list. First of all, we're going to get to honorable mentions where there's a shit ton. There really are a lot of honorable mentions, and I did put them in an order because I did make a top 20. So these are basically 20 through 11. These are what all of them are. By the way, Jessica Jones is not in this list just because I did not finish it. When I finish it, it will find a place on this list eventually, but right now it does not have a place on this list because I am not finished with it yet. I'm on episode 9. Very slowly getting finished with that. I know you guys are like, oh, you're behind. You got to get on that. I understand that, but I just have so much I'm watching and so many things to do that I just don't really have the time to watch it. But let's just get into this. So here are 20 through 11 are all of my honorable mentions. First of all, number 20 is Girl Meets World. Number 19, which I really did want to put in my top 10. Honestly, I did. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But then I thought, you know what? Girl Meets World every so often does have a dud. They've had a lot of duds this season. It's been a very strong season, definitely. And when Girl Meets World is great, it's amazing. It really is. But when it's bad, it's not very good. It's really not. So that's why it's 20. 19 is The Flash. 18 is probably the most surprising show of the year, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I had no expectations for this show whatsoever going into it, and then I got really excited for it and got better and better as it went on. 17 is Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf was at first up here, but the reason it wasn't was because I figured, you know what, that's just a half season, so I can't really judge the show as a whole. I could count it as a summer series, but as, you know, an actual TV season, it's not over yet, so I can't really count that yet. Number 16, we have BoJack Horseman. BoJack Horseman was amazing this season, but again, just could not find a place on my list. 15, Unreal. 14, Outlander. 13, Daredevil. I really want to put Daredevil on this list. I really, really did, but I could not find a place for Daredevil on this list, unfortunately. I really want to put Outlander on this list as well. I have to acknowledge, of course, the last 2 episodes. I mean, the fact they went where they did in the last 2 episodes, that's enough of a reason for it to be included in my honorable mentions. 12, The Americans, which I do feel this is the weakest season, The Americans. I will definitely say I think season 3 has been the weakest, was the weakest season, but it had an incredible episode, Stingers, which I still think is the best episode of this entire show, and an amazing cliffhanger that I really don't know where it's going to go, and I'm very excited to see what happens with that. And number 11, this was on my top 10 list, but then I had to change it because I realized I had forgotten something that I knew I needed to put on my top 10 list, and I had to take this out, unfortunately, and I felt really bad because I really wanted to put it there. And of course, I can't forget it. Number 11 is Better Call Saul. Very, very close to my top 10. It did not make my top 10 just because there were so many great shows in 2015. It was very hard to make this list. Like I said, if I could have, I would have made the top 20. I really would have, but I didn't. I made, an honorable mentions list, and these are 20 through 11. I'm not really going to talk about those because they're not my top 10. This is top 10. This is not top 20. So those are the ones I did, and I really wanted to put a lot of these shows in here, but I just didn't get a chance to. So now we will get into my top 10, which may shock some of you guys. I'm going to warn you guys. This probably might shock you a bit. I mean, there are some shows where it'll be like, you put that this high, that this high. Just remember, guys, this is my list, okay? If you guys don't agree with that, cool. I want to know your top 10. I want to know what you guys would say is your top 10 of this year. I'd love to know your thoughts on that because I really say, just like film, TV's subjective. I mean, everyone has different interests and everyone has different things that they like. There are things that I like that I know you guys probably don't like. There are things that you guys like that I probably will not like. I've gotten recommendations to things that I don't watch because I know I won't like them. I know what my interests are, I know what my tastes are, and this is a very good example of that. So if you guys just don't like what I'm talking about, you guys can just skip ahead because I have all 10 playlists, in all 10 playlists of, all the reviews I did for these shows in just the description. You guys can just figure out what they are, and when you want to get to them, you can do that. I might make timestamps, I'm not sure, we'll have to see. But here we go, guys. We're going to start off with number 10. Number 10 was very hard. For a while, it was Better Call Saul. It really was. And this is a show that I can't believe is as high as it is. I can't believe it's in my top 10. I really can't believe, because last series, I just thought this as a fun show. I really did. I thought it was a fun show and just a good way to have fun on Saturday. But it just became so much deeper as it went on. And of course, you guys know what I'm talking about. I am definitely talking about Doctor Who. Number 10 is Doctor Who. Holy shit, what a series this was. I mean, this is probably, most people have agreed, probably the best season of the revival besides the David Tennant seasons. I mean, this really was an incredible season. There was so much poured into the season. There was so much more deep focus on things like death and sacrifice and just, how you can lose your mind just over losing someone. There were just so many great things poured into this season. Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman really gave it their all the entire season, including Maisie Williams, who fit right in there. Game of Thrones is not on this list, definitely, guys. Game of Thrones is not on this list, but mainly because of Doctor Who. I think Maisie Williams is, the character of Ashler is even better than Arya Stark. I think she's an incredible character. I love the way they incorporate her on the show, and the last 3 episodes were just so ballsy. The way they got rid of Clara was so ballsy. The way they handled everything they did was perfect. I loved it, and the show wasn't afraid to get very dark. It wasn't afraid to go in a weird direction, and really worked very well. It got a lot deeper. It really was a show that you had to focus more on, and I definitely really loved. The only reason it's number 10 and not higher is because of that Sleep No More episode. If that episode had not been into the series, which I don't really feel fits in this series at all, honestly, I feel like that was definitely more of a Series 8 episode than it was a Series 9 episode. If that episode had not been in this series, this would have been the perfect season, and definitely would have been a lot higher than it was. However, the episodes that are great are amazing. I mean, there are so many amazing episodes that came out of the series. Just the season premiere in general was just so great. I loved it. And then, of course, the 2 episodes with Ashiter, and then but the thing I will say about the season, though, the other Doctor Who seasons you can't do, if you guys have not seen this season, you have to watch the entire season. You have to. You can't not skip an episode this season. And that's not normally something Doctor Who requires you to do, but I think that's something that they did very well this season, because every episode seemed to be very important. The only few episodes that didn't really have that much of importance, or didn't really seem like they were as important as they were, I think we're Before the Flood. It was that 1-2 part they did before the flood. That thing didn't really fit in there, and Sleep No More. Other than that, all the episodes you really do need to watch very closely this season to really get the basis and really feel this season. And I didn't really feel like I needed to know everything that was going on to enjoy this show, and they did that very, very well. I definitely really love that. And what I mean is, I didn't need to know what happened with the previous Doctors. I didn't need to know that. They did talk about it, but I just felt that from Peter Capaldi's acting, who in general deserves an Emmy. I mean, he was incredible this entire series. Amazing job. I cannot wait to see what happens in the next series. But number 10 is definitely Doctor Who. If you guys not checked it out, definitely check it out, because in my opinion, it is the best show BBC has right now. Number 9, you guys knew this was coming. You guys probably thought this was a bit higher. This was a very good year for horror TV shows. A very good year for horror TV shows. Not really American Horror Story. That show can go. That show's stupid. And it was definitely a very good year for horror TV shows. There was a lot of really good ones poured into it. 3 stand out, and you guys probably think this one's a lot higher, but it's not. Simply because the other 2 horror TV shows that I am going to talk about just were a lot, just had a lot more that I loved about them. And I really did want to put this higher, but when I really thought about it, I thought, you know what, out of the 3, this is probably the one that is going to be the lowest. Number 9 is The Originals. Now, okay, look, I know. Before you guys yell at me and be like, how dare you? You say the show is perfect, and then you put it here. Let me tell you guys this. The 5 shows that I've been reviewing, for the past, September to December, fall shows, the 5 shows, one of those 5 shows that I love the most is The Originals. It's one of the shows that I can't wait to look forward to every single week. The thing about this is, though, I don't really count the show as a horror show. I count it a lot more as a thriller, or just even a family drama. It really is. I mean, when you think about it, it really is a family drama. It's about this family that's trying to do whatever they can to survive. Haley's in there because she's connected to this family. I know people don't like Haley's character, but for me, at least, I think everything they've done for both these seasons. The second half of season 2, which was extremely stellar, such great stuff there, an amazing finale, and everything we've got in season 3 really has been perfect. They've really been upping the ante every episode, and this is one of those shows where just every episode it gets better and better as it goes on. I definitely love that. Oh, something I forgot to say about Doctor Who real quick that I do want to bring up is that Doctor Who would do things that I didn't think would be okay, and then they ended up really working out very well. The original is a show that could very easily fail. The reason it works so well is because of a very stellar cast, a very good script that really, you never know where it's going to go. This show where I never know where it's going to go, I never know what's going to happen, and I never predict what's going to happen, and I love that. I love that I never can predict what's going to happen on the show. But because the stellar cast, and yes, I do think that the woman that plays Haley, Phoebe Tonkin, that's her name, is a very good actress. I don't see the hate on her. I don't understand why people hate her character. I think she's a very good actress. I do like her character, like everything I've been doing with all the characters. All the actors on the show are great. I love the show as a whole. By far the best thing the CW has right now, and the best thing I think they're going to have for a while. As good as The Flash and Arrow may be, this to me really is the CW at its core. I love this show. It shouldn't be on the CW. It really shouldn't be, because it does a lot more graphic than I think the CW should have, honestly. Really, at times feels like an HBO show, I gotta tell you. But overall, guys, I love the originals. Definitely number 9 is the originals, and the mid-season finale tonight, I cannot wait for it. It's going to be amazing, and there's so much I loved about this season. And if you guys had asked me what I think all seasons were about, season 1 is about power. I've said this a million times, but I'm going to say it again. Season 1's about power, season 2 is about family, and season 3 is about consequences. That's really what season 3's all been about. It's all about the consequences of their actions, things that they might have done in the past that would affect them in the future. That's really what it's all about, and I love that. So number 9, definitely the originals. Number 8 is a show that I just reviewed. Literally just reviewed. My last review was for You're the Worst, and number 8 is You're the Worst. Now, You're the Worst was at first not on this list at all. It really wasn't. I mean, if you would have told me You're the Worst would be one of the best shows of this year, last year, I would have been like, no, there's no way. It's just a fun show. Mainly because I didn't see the deeper stuff that the show really had to offer, and the real messages that the show is really trying to have. And the more this season went on, the more I got more interested in the characters, especially in the whole depression storyline. Probably the most realistic depression storyline I've ever seen on any show. I mean, they really tackled it in a very, very serious way, and they didn't try to poke fun at it. Yes, they made it funny at some points, but they didn't make fun of it. They took it seriously, and that's something I loved about this entire season, that the things that were supposed to be serious, they did take seriously, and they did that very, very well, and the acting in the show is just great. One of the reasons the show works so well is because it has such a small cast, so there really isn't anyone that you feel is out of place or doesn't belong there, and that's one of the reasons why I think the show works so well. By far the best comedy on TV right now. It always makes me laugh, and it always, every episode, even the episodes I didn't love, like the one with Jimmy's parents, that was like my least favorite episode of the season. I still really enjoyed it. It was a very, it wasn't as funny. Still had me take away something from it, and definitely got a message across that it needed to. I really felt every episode did what it needed to do, and overall, I loved every minute of You're the Worst season 2. That definitely is number 8. If you guys have not seen You're the Worst, definitely check it out. I know it might seem like just a typical comedy, but it is a lot more than that. You might see season 1 and not really see that, but then when season 2 rolls around, you will definitely see the deeper layers in this show, and that's one of the reasons I loved it as much as I do. So You're the Worst is definitely number 8. Now, 7 and 6 kept getting switched around because I kept thinking, what is the better horror show? Both of these shows I love to death. I really do. They're two of my favorite shows on TV right now by far. They're two shows that every episode I got more and more excited to see what was going to happen. They're shows where you really can't predict what's going to happen, and they're both character-driven shows. They're both character-driven shows. Even though they're horror shows, they're character-driven, and ultimately, this is what I decided to do. Number 7 is Penny Dreadful. Number 7 is Penny Dreadful. The other one is number 6. I will talk, but I'm pretty sure you guys know what it is. But number 7 is definitely Penny Dreadful. I know Penny Dreadful was number 10 on my summer shows list. That doesn't matter here. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. My summer shows list does not matter. That was just what I ranked them as summer shows, what I remember the most, what I took the most out of all of them. That's what my summer shows list was. This is the actual list, so definitely I knew Penny Dreadful would be on this list. I mean, this season, they really went above and beyond to flesh out these characters even more than they did. And this is a show where you thought you knew the character of Brona. You really did. You thought that Brona was dead, that she was gone. And then Billie Piper's that incredible monologue, and you realize that all this time she was just pretending that she was someone else and that she had this other identity. It's this incredible scene. I loved it. Eva Green just got nominated for an Emmy, and by God, does she deserve it. Everything she does as Vanessa on this show is incredible. I love her character. She does a great job. They did a great job, though, at really making the show a lot more about the horrors of themselves, because they're all really afraid of themselves, what they're becoming, especially Ethan. We really saw that this season. We saw Victor being afraid of his own creations, and it's all stuff that they did, and that's one of the reasons the show works so well. Plus, of course, I gotta hand it to Evelyn. By far, one of the best villains I have seen in a very long time. She was incredible this entire season. I loved her character. She was so menacing, so creepy, and she really did a fantastic job. She was fantastic, and I definitely love the storyline of Malcolm. Just everything they did this season, I think, was just better and better than season one. And it kind of made me forget about season one, honestly. I really love season one, but it kind of made me forget about it because of how good season two was. And when a show gets you to do that, it really shows that the show's willing to go above and beyond the extra mile and really make you remember it. And at the end of the day, when I think about Penny Dreadful, I definitely think about season two than I do more about season one. I cannot wait for season three. It's incredible. If you guys have not checked out Penny Dreadful, definitely check it out. It's an incredible show. And just everything they do, the horror elements, they combine very well with the pure drama. Something I do like about the show is that while it is a horror show, it's also really a period drama. It really is. I mean, it takes place in the 1800s. You get that feel that it's in the 1800s, that it takes place there. You get the feel that you're in London, which they did very well. Just everything about it, I definitely really do love the show. It's a fantastic show, and I really do love everything about Penny Dreadful. Fantastic show. Now, like I said, number 7, number 6 are getting switched around because they're very similar shows. Well, they are and they aren't. They're both horror shows, but they're both character-driven. And when it really came down to it, I thought, okay, which show do I love more? Because I love both of these shows. These are two shows that I got highly invested in. Penny Dreadful especially, I really loved last season. But then this show came along, and this show definitely kicked Penny Dreadful's ass. I mean, when I really thought about it, I thought, which show is more memorable? Definitely this show came to mind more and more, because while Penny Dreadful was, really upping the ante all season, Hannibal already did that. Hannibal already had an incredible second season, and it already upped the ante of the first season. The big question is, how the fuck were they going to do it for season 3? And they did just that. They made it even better. They made the characters even better. They made the relationship even more complicated, and I loved everything about Hannibal season 3. And the thing is, what I like about this is that we don't know if this really is the last season. We really don't. I mean, when you really think about it, yeah, they said that, oh, we might end, but that doesn't mean that it's official. In fact, Mads Mikkelsen says that he wants to do more. He really would want to do more Hannibal if he was asked to. They end in a very satisfying way, where if it did come back, if it did end, I wouldn't be upset. But if it does come back, they did leave it open where there is the possibility that it could come back, and they did that very well with that post-credit scene at the end. But there were so many things to love about this season. The imagery on the show is just incredible. That, in general, is enough for a reason to watch the show. But then, of course, you have the very complex relation between Will and Hannibal, who, no matter what Hannibal does, Will just can't get away from him, because he wants to be the one to end him. He wants to be the one, and, his biggest fear is becoming like Hannibal, but for whatever reason, he stays tethered to Hannibal. They have this very interesting relationship, and a lot of people say it's a romantic relationship. Well, it really is, in the sense that they both love blood, and they both love tension and drama and things like that. And that's something that Will loves, and the time jump was handled so well. Francis, holy shit, that character of Francis in the third season was just fantastic. Probably the best villain I've seen all year, honestly. If I had to pick a favorite villain on a show, it would definitely be Francis. He was terrifying. He was menacing. I didn't know where he was going to go. They did a fantastic job at fleshing out his character, showing all the mental problems that he's going through. The character of Reba, I mean, every single character you care about on the show. That's something I love about Hannibal, is that they make you care for the characters that you probably shouldn't care about. Characters like Reba should not be a character that we care as much about. I mean, she's not even a main character, but you really felt like you knew her, and you understood her, and you understood what she was going through. You understood why she wanted to be with Francis, and you understood how he scared her away. And just overall, an incredible season. I loved every minute of it. If it is the last season, they really went out with a bang. It was a fantastic way to go out. If it isn't, great, bring on more Hannibal. I will love to see more of that. But overall, guys, definitely Hannibal is an incredible show, and if you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out because you won't want to miss it. I mean, I heard last season, Hannibal's incredible, and I didn't watch it. I watched season 2 very quickly. I got done with it very quickly. I was really into it. And if you guys are like me, don't make that mistake. Don't make the mistake of not watching Hannibal because you're missing out on one of the best shows on TV by far. And I really hope it does come back next season. I don't know if it's going to, but Mads Mikkelsen says that there is a possibility that it could come back. It should have never been on NBC. I will say that right now. It should never been on NBC. It needs to be on something like Amazon or Netflix because they will definitely continue to run with it and basically let them do whatever the hell they want as long as they profit it, and that's what Hannibal needs to do. They need to get onto Netflix, though I don't need them to come back for a season. I don't think it's extremely necessary. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's extremely imperative that Hannibal needs to come back for a fourth season. I would just really like to see because I want more time with these characters, but I did feel we got enough with them in the finale. And definitely Hannibal is number 6. So now we're getting down to the top 5, and this was extremely hard to do. It really was, because 5, 4, and 3 are 3 shows that I absolutely love. I love every minute of these shows. I love everything about them. I think they're all just great shows in general. And I really didn't know what I was going to do with all of them because they're just all so great. So I basically decided to make it this list. I put their plate in the places that they are. They might switch around, but for right now, I'm happy where they are. And number 5 is a show that I completely forgot about when I was making this top 10 list. I literally forgot about it. I'm like, how can I forget about that? Like, I forgot about it, and I can't believe how I did, because final seasons of a show usually are not that satisfying. They're not. They're really not. They're usually very disappointing. They're usually not the best season, but that's exactly what Justified season 6 was. It simply was the best season of Justified we've ever had. It really was. And mainly because at the crux of it, there were other things going on, but the main storyline was Raylan versus Boyd and how these two characters catch each other and how they basically are very similar and just have the wants and needs of these two characters. You've really felt that in the show, and they did that very, very well. Just like Hannibal and Penny Dreadful, while this is a crime drama, it is definitely more of a character-driven series, and that's one of the reasons I love Justified as much as I do. I mean, they gave us everything we could have wanted in this final season, and while Hannibal could be a final season, this definitely is the final season, and damn, was it a great way to go out. They had such amazing stuff this season. This was a season where I constantly didn't know what was going to happen. And it's a show where they didn't really kill off a lot of characters. I mean, if you guys look back at the final episode, they don't really kill off a lot of people. It's not a show that needed to do that. And I know people were saying, well, why didn't they kill off this person? Why didn't they kill off this person? It was never a show that needed to kill off people. It really wasn't. Because it was a show about relationships and how they are portrayed and like what can happen to them and the different directions that they take and how, you can one day be best friends with someone, then one day not be. And the final scene of this show is exactly what this show is all about. It's simply about Raylan and Boyd, and how Raylan, despite his hatred for Boyd, despite him wanting to catch Boyd, he won't kill Boyd. He will never kill Boyd. He will always make sure that he's there for Boyd because of the friendship that they've always had, and that's one of the reasons why it was as beautiful as it was. Ava, oh my god, they made Ava such a better character this season. I already really did love her character, but this season especially, she was so much better because she was an independent woman who basically was willing to, want to do things for herself. She wouldn't listen, while she listened to Boyd, she still had her own plan, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to work with Raylan, and she wanted to find a way to get the information on Boyd and, work with Raylan, but also be able to maintain a relationship with Boyd, which obviously was very hard for her to do, but they did that very, very well, and I definitely really love that. The villains this season were all fantastic. The villains that we got, like Avery, I thought he was extremely intimidating. Sam Elliott's character, he was great. Even that character, Ty Walker, he was definitely really good. He was kind of a coward, but he was still a very good character. They fleshed him out very well. They even gave Rachel and Tim more to do, which I thought was great because these are two characters that are usually very underutilized, and because of the final season, they used them very, very well. I like that we did get some stuff with, what is her name? You guys know what I'm talking about. Raylan's son's biological mother. I can't think of her name right now. Let me just check this because I can't think of her name, and I'm blanking and I feel terrible. But I can't think of her name right now. Let me see. What is her name? Winona, of course, they did have some cameos from her, and I like that we did get some final stuff from her because she was always a big part of this show, and they closed her stuff out very well. Just everything they closed out perfectly. The finale didn't go where I thought it was going to at all. I really love that. I expected a lot more bloody of a finale, and what this really got me to do is I want you guys to just look at the show, and I know I always compare the show to Sons of Anarchy, but I'm going to because they're two very much, they're two very different crime dramas, but they're both on FX. What Sons of Anarchy did was just use violence for everything. This show shows you don't need violence to have an intense story. I mean, a lot of what was going on, there was room for intense scenes. There were definitely intense scenes, but a lot of them aren't really from violence. There aren't a lot of kills in this season. We didn't really need that. We didn't need these main characters to die because that's not what they're here to do. This show is not about that, and that's one of the reasons I love the show as much as I do. They really fleshed it out. They really did everything perfectly for a final season. Probably one of the best, probably maybe I think the best final season I've ever seen in my life. I loved every minute of it, and I just thought it was a perfect finale. So Justified, absolutely perfect. Loved every minute of it. And for a while, it was number one. I do have to tell you guys that, and that's one of the reasons why it was very hard to do this. Just like number four was almost number one. For a while, this was one of my favorite shows of the entire. I knew this was going to be on my top 10 list. I mean, the more that this show went on, I loved it more and more. But I remember that I just randomly found out about this show through like Metacritic. I mean, I looked on Metacritic, saw the show was there. I said, okay, I'll check it out. It sounds interesting. And that, of course, number four is Mr. Robot. Holy shit, this show. I mean, talk about a surprise. You have a show on USA, a network that usually is filled with so many just cliched and cheesy shows and so many similar shows just about detectives and things like that. And this is not that at all. This is a hacker drama. This is a character study disguised as a hacker drama, and that's why the show works as well as it does. I mean, this is a show where you feel like you're watching a movie. You don't feel like you're watching a show when you watch it. You feel like you're watching a movie. It feels very cinematic, and they did that very, very well. And this character of Elliot is just so investing. The second we meet him, he feels so different from society. His comments about the world and what we're doing was so interesting. I love seeing that. I loved all of his monologues. They were so interesting to watch. I am so happy that Rami Malek got nominated for a Golden Globe because damn does he deserve it. Mr. Robot also just got nominated for Best Drama. Thank God it did because it's one of the best shows on TV by far, and it really handles drama very, very well. Still one of the most shocking twists of the year. I am not giving it away, but episode 8, holy shit, there's a jaw-dropping twist that I don't want you guys to know about going into it because it is huge, and it's just so great the way they revealed that. I loved all the characters on the show. I know people don't like Angela, but I think she's still a great character. Darlene was great. I loved all the characters on this show. I cannot wait for season 2. Tyrell, you will definitely find some Hannibal similarities in the Tyrell Wellick character, but they did a good job of not making him too over the top. They really handle all of the hacker stuff. I'm usually very bored and things like that, but I found it to be very interesting here because they made it interesting. They made it so you have to stay invested. They made it so you want to hear about these things. They made it so you want to see them infiltrate. You don't want to see F Society infiltrate uh where Elliot's working. I can't think of the name right now, but you get Allsafe. You want to see them infiltrate Allsafe. You want to see these things happen because they're very interesting. It makes the show very intense. And again, this was another show that had a lot of intense scenes without necessarily having a lot of violence, and they did that very, very well. Although, of course, they did kill off one major character, but after that, the show was just fantastic. And the last 3 episodes really solidified this, I think, as one of the best shows on TV, and I loved every minute of it. So Mr. Robot, definitely number 4. I am so happy it is getting all the critical praise it's getting. I'm seeing it on a lot of top 10 lists, and this is a show that I thought was going to be a sleeper hit. I didn't really think a lot of people were going to know about this show, but now I'm seeing on so many top 10 lists, I really feel it's going to be the new Breaking Bad, where eventually a lot of people start watching it, and that's one of the reasons I love Mr. Robot as much as I do. It's such a great show, and if you haven't seen it, check it out right now. Okay. So, number 3, I really wanted to put Justified number 3. I did, but then it came to this show, and I thought, which show do I like more? Do I like Justified, or do I like Fargo more? And it came down to, I think Fargo was just overall a great season, and just what it was able to do was very great, because I knew going into Justified Season 2, then going into Justified Season 6, this was going to be an amazing season. I knew that. I didn't have any expectations for Fargo season 2. I really didn't. I didn't know how this was going to be because I really didn't think, okay, season 1 was great. Is season 2 going to be as good? Because I was wondering, are they going to pull a True Detective? I mean, is this going to be like American Horror Story where first season's great and the other seasons really aren't? But it turned out that not only was the show better than season 1, it completely made me forget about it. I mean, I remember season 1 very, very vaguely. In fact, I'm asking for season 1 for Christmas because I do want to watch it again. But that's why season 2 is so great. The main purpose of the show, we always forget, is that we're here to watch Sioux Falls and we're here to watch Lou. We're here to watch the character of Lou, but it's so much more than that. They're not focusing on the things you expect them to focus on. You expect them to focus on Lou and Molly, and they really don't. They focus more on the Gearharts and Ed and Peggy, just so we get the point of view of every single character we're going to see in the show, so we understand the motives of these characters, and so that way, when something bad happens to these characters, we really care about them, and they did that very, very well. I also love the humor that the show has, the way it's able to handle dark humor in serious situations. It's something that Justified and Fargo did very well. Justified also did a great job with humor, but Fargo especially, it always makes me laugh, and I don't know why. There are scenes where I'm like, why was that funny? I don't know why I'm laughing at this, but I don't care. It's a show where it has amazing imagery as well. I love the cinematic feel of this season. I cannot wait for the season finale. I know it's going to be amazing. I don't know how they're going to how they're exactly going to top this season, but I think they're going to do it in season 3. If they can do it in season 2, they can do it in season 3. But overall, guys, Fargo definitely number 3. Check it out if you haven't, and it's an incredible show, and it's currently the second best show out of the 5 shows that I love the most that I'm watching, that I'm reviewing currently. It's definitely the second one. You guys know what number 1 is. I mean, definitely you know what number 1 is. Now, number 2. For a while, I thought this was going to be my number 1 show of the year. I really did. I really thought, okay, this is probably going to be my number 1 show of the year. I could definitely see that happening. And then I thought, you know what? No, this is not going to be my number 1 show. After one show happened, I knew it was not going to be. But you guys knew this show was going to be on here. You knew it was going to be very high. You know how much I love this show. I seem to be the person that really loves this show, and a lot of people don't love it as much as I do. Nobody loves Sense8 as much as I do, really, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about this show. It's such a great show. Mainly because I don't need a lot to happen in this show. I don't. I just need the interactions of these characters and see how they are because they're all so flawed and they're all so drastically different. The fact that they went out and shot all of these things on location is just so interesting to watch, and they did that so well. They did a great job at making every character great. I mean, there are shows where this is a show that could easily uninterested me very fast. I mean, I was worried that I wasn't going to love some of these characters. I loved every single one. Honestly, every single character on this show is great. And yeah, there might be some things that are just better, like maybe you want to see Nomi's storyline more than Will's, but then another episode will come around, the storyline you didn't think you liked as much, you want to see more of, and I really love the way they did that. They did a great job of making some of the storylines that weren't as interesting, like, say, Sons. Sons in episode 3, I was very worried about her, but then they made her a lot more interesting in episode 4, and I'm like, I really want to see this, and there was never a character that I felt like, oh, that's my favorite character. I don't know who my favorite character is on Sense8 because they're all just so great. I can't pick a favorite. They're all just that great. I'm so happy it was renewed for a season 2. Honestly, I was so happy. I couldn't believe that a season 2 was happening. I didn't think it was possible, but it is happening. And definitely, if you guys have not checked it out, go on Netflix now, binge it. Currently, I still agree that it's the best show that Netflix has. I don't care. Daredevil's an amazing show. Jessica Jones is an amazing show. I will admit that. But Sense8, just something about it. It's the show that I love the most. It's the show that when I go on Netflix, I constantly want to rewatch it. It's a fantastic show. It still has one of the best scenes this entire year. What's Going On? If you guys don't know what that's about, look it up. It's an incredible scene. But there's so much to love about it. Sense8, definitely check it out. By far is number 2. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys know what number 1 is because it's not appeared on this list yet. And you guys, I'm pretty sure knew what number 1 was going to be. I even said it in my review of the show. You know what number 1 was going to be, okay? I didn't try to hide it because I'm proud that this is my number 1 show of the year. I'm proud that this is the best show of the year because this is a show that wasn't even on my honorable mentions list last year. In fact, I never really loved the show like I did this year. Number 1 is by far The Leftovers. I mean, seriously, I can't believe how much I fell in love with the show this season. I mean, season 1, I really liked it. I thought it was a good show overall, but I wasn't attached to it like I was this season. The Leftovers is a show where I constantly thought about it. I constantly thought, what's really going on in this scenario? There would be times where I'm just sitting around and be like, I can't wait for the episode. I have no idea what's going to happen. And the reason it works so well is because The Leftovers, to its core, is an ensemble show. And the way they would focus on only certain characters every episode really made it so much that like you couldn't wait for the next week. Just like Sense8 did, it only focused on certain characters every episode, and there were certain characters where they didn't focus on them, but they did a great job at really fleshing everything out. I mean, this made us care about the characters more. Like characters like Jill, I honestly really didn't care about Jill last season. I didn't. I thought she was an okay character, and I thought she was pretty hot, but that was really it. I didn't really care about her like I did this season. Someone like Meg, I never really cared about. I never was that invested in her storyline. Tommy, even, I really was never invested. Even Lori, I was never that invested in the GR as a whole. And they really made so much more interesting this season. Everything about the season was incredible. The different directions they went in, what the show has to say about just life in general is so interesting. The message of the season begin again is great. I don't know if the season's getting renewed for season 3, and I don't care. I honestly don't know. There are things I do want to see. I mean, yes, there are things that we need to resolve. I mean, I saw a comment where someone said there are a million things to resolve. Yeah, there always is. But the thing about the show is that it doesn't need to, this is not a show where I need to know what's going on to love it, honestly. Episodes like episode 8, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I loved it. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, but I still loved it because it's just a brilliantly written show. It is such great dialogue. I mean, these are characters that they could be doing anything. I don't care what the hell these characters are doing. I want to see them. I mean, I don't care if it's as simple as just John trying to catch a cricket. It's interesting, it's intriguing, and they're just such great characters that you want to see more and more of them, and you honestly feel like they are part of your family. That's what they did very well this season. They made it feel like these are people that you know, and that these are people that you want to see more of, and they fleshed out all the relationships just so well. Suddenly, Kevin was just such a more interesting character. I mean, yeah, he was interesting in season 1, but he got kind of annoying at times. I will admit that to you guys. There were times where I thought Kevin was a bit annoying in season 1, but he was great here. I loved his character in this. He was so much more interesting. The Murphys as a whole, I mean, look back at that premiere. It's such a weird episode because it doesn't feel like you're watching Leftovers. You feel like watching a very different show. Watch season 1, then watch the season. Feel like completely different shows, and I love that because season 1 was a startup, was a prologue. That was them. They had to follow this book. They had to, make sure that everything that was in this book was in the show and not upset Tom Perrotta, who is one of the creators of the show. Season 2, Tom Perrotta basically said to Damien basically there is no book 2. So here's pretty much how I feel the conversation went between Damien, now I can't, Lindelof and Tom Perrotta in season 2. Alright, there's no second book, you can do whatever the fuck you want, and I really don't care. I honestly feel that's what it was. I don't think Tom Perrotta cared what Damien Lindelof did, as long as he just kept the characters well, kept the storyline, and he did a very good job of incorporating characters, which that's hard to do. I mean, it is very hard to introduce a whole new group of characters and force me to get invested in them and then have the same characters as well when we're not seeing these characters. You know a show is doing its job when when none of the main cast has appeared in the first 30 minutes of your season premiere and you don't give a shit because you're just that invested in that family. No show I've seen do that. I have never seen a show do something like that where I actually care about the new characters and don't care that we're not seeing the ones I want to see. And I didn't care because it was just that invested in them. Like I've said, you guys, The Leftovers Season 2 is not only the best show of this year, it is simply the best season of TV I think I've ever witnessed. I really felt like I was watching something special. It is the sleeper hit of the year by far. It's a show that nobody's watching. I talk to people in my school, nobody knows what The Leftovers is, unfortunately. Most people said, oh, I gave up in season 1. Watch season 2. I implore you. You don't need to know what happened in season 1 because season 2 just feels like it happened, but we're not really going to bring it up a lot. And eventually they do bring up a lot of things that happened in season 1. But again, it doesn't feel like you really need to watch season 1 to understand season 2 because that's just great of a show it is. They made it so it stood out as its own thing. Every episode kind of feels like a mini movie, and that was very cool as well. There were so many things to love about it. I got so attached to it. And if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely check out The Leftovers Season 2. I can't believe this season is over, and I will definitely be buying on Blu-ray the day it comes out. I loved every minute of it, and I really hope there's a season 3. I don't know if there's going to be, but I just need more time with these characters. I really do. I mean, the way that we feel upset over these people getting departed, suddenly we cared about that as well. I mean, I really didn't care as much in the first season that they got departed, but we really cared here, and I think they did it very well here. Even characters like Patty, who I didn't know if it was going to work. There were so many things this season where I didn't know if it was going to work, and I gotta tell you guys, I never said this in my season 2 review. I constantly was worried. I constantly was thinking, okay, we had 2 amazing episodes. This could go really badly. Or this could go, this could not work. Or this might not work as well as I thought it would. But every episode just worked in its own way, and I love that. It didn't matter what they did, it just worked. And I don't know why, just something about it works so well, and that's why this season of Leftovers is truly the best season, the best show on TV of 2015 by far. So that's basically it for my top 10 shows of 2015. I know there are some things you might be upset about that might not be on this list, and you guys complain. Honestly, I'm fine with that. You want to yell at me, say, how dare you forget this show? How dare you forget this? Da-da-da-da. Fine, yell at me. Honestly, I'm fine with that. You guys can tell me that I'm wrong. You guys can tell me that there's something that I didn't see in a show that's not on this list. I can totally, I'm fine with that if you guys want to say that. But again, this is my list. This is how I feel about these shows, and these are the shows that I feel really impacted me the most. These are the shows where I look back on 2015. These are the shows that we'll remember the most, and they really just have everything I love in a TV show. And that's what all these shows had. So that's basically for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this list. Definitely comment to me your top 10 shows, even top 20, any show, or just any show that had impact on you in 2015. Love to hear your thoughts on it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for the mid-season finale of the originals, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.